Hi all, and welcome to Data Lens, the short series where we talk about market research in the outdoor hospitality industry. Today, I'm here with Scott Bark, the president of Cairn Consulting Group, who has over 35 years of market research experience and a wealth of knowledge to share, and I'm here to ask him the questions that you want to know. So let's hop in. On today's episode, we'll be talking about how to use market research to de-risk investment in outdoor hospitality. So Scott, before we hop in, any kind of notes, questions, tips?
I think, most people know that the more information you have when making decisions, the more likely you are to make a better decision. And that's kind of what this is all about. Is that everyone knows you should have as much information as possible when making important decisions, and that's kind of where we come in.
So I guess kind of starting things off here, what would you say are the biggest risks in investing in outdoor hospitality?
For one, probably site selection is first and foremost. You could have the best facilities ever, and if your location isn't amenable to what it is that you're selling, which is your business, your sites at your business, people aren't going to show up. I mean, that's the bottom line. What people do when they take a vacation or whatever is they pick the location, then they look for accommodations. They don't look for accommodations and then say, oh, look, there's an accommodation here at this location, let's stay there. No, that's not typically how it works. So site location is most important. And there's also, in terms of site location, to the idea of not just are you near some natural feature, or are you near some recreation area, or a place where people it could even be near an amusement park, or a sporting facility or something. But also, what are the grounds like? What is it that it physically like at that location? So when choosing your site, it's two is are you near something? Are you near a population center, or near something that attracts people? And two is the location. For example, you don't want to put your location near active railroad tracks. There's been study after study that's shown how much of an impact this has on guest stays. There's others too. It can be road noise. It could be near a swamp and the bugs are really bad. There's a lot of those factors, though. That to me is the biggest risk, and the biggest mistake in terms of businesses is site selection. And the second to that would be, what type of park, campground are you going to have? Because again, you have the location, now what type of park? Because the bottom line is that the location will determine the type of guest that's going to show up. And if you put in the type of park that it won't attract those guests, and especially if there's competition, which would be the third part, by the way, is you need to make sure that the type, what you're putting in. For example, if you're saying, well, we want to be an RV park, and we're going to have really nice pull-through sites and everything, yet the area is not very accessible to large RVs, that would be a mistake, because if it's difficult for people to get there, maybe the roads are bad, they're not well maintained, and it's not easy to pull those big rigs in, hairpin turns, whatever. Those types of things are all considerations. So, and the third would I would say the top three, just to stick with that for now, would be the competition, is failure to really evaluate thoroughly the competition in the area that you're considering your park. What are they offering? What are they charging? How many are there? Is there capacity for another park in the area? Is it saturated? So, those would be my top three right there.
Definitely. No, and the reason I laughed earlier was because research that we did on the sound pollution was absolutely fascinating. So, and seeing the impact on how it had for site selection was fascinating. So, how does market research help identify red flags or missed opportunities?
Kind of building on that is, the market research will help check off each one of those items in the top three there. That, in terms of your site selection, market research will help you determine what the demand is in your area, whether or not that location is one that's going to bring guests in. It's going to help determine the type of park that would go well in that area as well, and it'll also help you evaluate your competition as well, to know what the demand is, what the market share potential is, all those things. The other part that market research can help you do is to understand the mindset of guests, which is, what are they looking for? What's the demand for the types of services and amenities for the guests that would come to that type of park that you're considering. So and there you can really do a deep dive into what people are looking for. What types of experiences, even length of stay, but the type of guest profiling, looking at, how people find you, looking at journey mapping, looking at, personas, the type of persona and the type of guest that would ideally fit with the type of park you're considering in the location you're at. So market research has a great deal of value for anyone considering a new build out in any type of location. So definitely an important part of the process.
Moving into our next question here. So what types of clients benefit the most from professional market analysis?
Anyway, honestly, and this will sound, I don't know, it might sound a little lame even, but really anyone considering any kind of new build or a build out to their current location. If you're considering that kind of change, you should really find someone to consult with and to offer some advice. It doesn't have to be a major expense for you, but that money should be considered an investment in what you're doing. It's part of the investment. It's going to help you minimize your risk. So every dollar you spend on advice is going to be well worth. I mean, I was talking to someone recently who said that they spent, several $1,000s on a consultation, and at the end of the day, the consultation recommended they not do it. And at first, the person who wanted the consultation was kind of disappointed, because they're like, well, I just spent this money for you to tell me that it's not going to work. And then they finally realized, it's like, well, I spent that much, but I didn't lose millions of dollars, which can be at stake in this. It can be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and in the millions, depending on what you're looking at doing. So that money, again, is well spent, and it should be part of your investment, and it should be part of, when you're planning the entire project, you should have a line item in there for this type of work, because it should be part of your budget, and it's that important. So again, even if you're considering maybe adding on some sites or switching site types. I know many campgrounds are doing that now, converting some sites to accommodations, or just putting in full hookups, pull through sites, and so on. It's worth doing. It's worth coming in and looking at it. Look at the financials, looking at the feasibility of making that kind of a change.
Yeah, agreed. It's just really looking at, it's like, what is the overall ROI, correct? You'd say?
Yes.
Cool. Kind of like a last comment statement. Did you kind of want to hop into overall ROI when it comes to outdoor hospitality and de-risking investments?
I think, in terms of overall ROI, is that typically in outdoor hospitality, that the ROI is pretty solid. If you come in with a buttoned up plan, if you put it together based on what you get back from your feasibility study and your planning documents, your business planning, your ROI is very achievable in a relatively short amount of time compared to a lot of other types of investments and build outs where the ROI, hospitality, outdoor hospitality is a great business to be in. And if you do it the right way, you approach it the right way, your outlook is solid. So, but again, you have to do your upfront. You have to do your upfront research.
Thank you so much for that input. And thank you guys so much for joining us today for another episode of Data Lens from Cairn Consulting Group. Today we covered how to use market research to de-risk investment in outdoor hospitality. So don't forget to leave a comment or a question for next week's episode. Hit that like button if you like what you see. And as always, subscribe so you never miss a thing. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.